welcome to Cocktail History with the Freeborn County Historical Museum, Library, and Village. I'm Stephanie Kibler, the director here at the museum, with Risha.
Do you know my name?
Risha Lilienthal, with Risha Lilienthal, who coordinates exhibits and collections here at the museum. Today we're featuring the Sidecar. Which I've never had a sidecar. I'm saying this about a lot of these cocktails.
Yeah, well, it's exciting. We're learning new things.
Yeah, it is. It's really kind of fun. And then tying it into history is actually really kind of fun. So like many of the classic cocktails, the origin of this one is also a little controversial, we'll say. Many believe it was created at the famous Harry's Bar, who we've talked about, Harry's Bar in Paris. It was requested by an army captain who drove up on a motorcycle that had a sidecar.
What year?
World War I. During World War I. You can also look at the drink, which this is something I didn't know, from the bartender's perspective. So when a bartender's mixing and he misses the mark on the ingredient quantities, they will take what's left over, say in their shaker, and pour it into a shot glass, and that's called a sidecar.
Oh, that's fun.
So I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I also did not know the parent of the sidecar. It's a beverage we are going to feature at some point. It's called the Brandy Crusta, which has some kind of super fun, like almost looks like a meringue sugar crust on it. They're beautiful.
See, because you say crusta, that sounds kind of crusty and gross to me.
Oh,
but
no, it's like crusty and sugary. It looked really good. And I discovered that the Brandy Crusta has its origins in New Orleans, which yesterday was Fat Tuesday. So the other piece that I thought was interesting, the sidecar started being made with brandy. Brandy's like wine. Depending on the region it comes from, could be sweet, could be dry, could be bold. So for more continuity, they moved it to Cognac after Prohibition.
Because that was available again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Cognac varies slightly too, but not to the extent of brandy does. So we're gonna do the Cognac version, primarily because I had Cavassier in my cabinet, which I used strictly for my favorite dessert, which is a raspberry trifle.
Ooh.
And so that little beauty is very rarely tasted other than in a trifle.
Nice.
In case anybody wanted to know what my favorite dessert was.
Well, and you're very good at using like alcohol in desserts.
I do. I like to do that. Rum cake is one I like to do at Christmas time. Usually I do the trifle. I do have a recipe for a fabulous bourbon pecan pumpkin pie, which is a very nice. So yeah, I do use.
Really good. Yeah,
I like to play
skill,
around with. Yeah. Well, I'm stealing recipes. I mean, they're not mine.
Well, yeah.
Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart likes to do that too. As does Ina. Can't think of Ina's last name. She's another chef with a show.
Okay.
Anyway, we will move on to onto the, I was gonna say Crusta, but it's the sidecar.
Oh, yes.
I think it was funny too because they talked a little bit about, this is one of the few drinks with citrus in it before back to the 1850s. Because normally the citrus was to prevent scurvy.
Right, and like a gimlet or something. Yeah.
Which they weren't worried about with this one. So this does have the citrus to it also.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a little ice into our shaker. And I'm thinking we're gonna have to do, you're good there. I'm wondering, maybe we can do 2 of these in one shaker. Let's try it.
Yeah.
So it's 1.5 ounces of cognac. So 3 ounces of cognac.
Oh, this smells good.
Cavassier is a very nice cognac. And it is one you could sip, straight. And then after that, it's 1 ounce of, they call it for Cointreau, We have Grand Marnier. It's an orange, basically. It's an orange liqueur. That one pops too.
I'm trying to.
Is it stuck because it's sugary?
Yes.
She mustn't.
Well, it got a little bit of that on. Thank you.
Yeah, so 1 shot each, so 2 ounce total of that. 2 ounces.
Okay.
And, gosh. And then it's a half an ounce of lemon juice each, so a full ounce of lemon juice. And then we're gonna pour those ingredients into, this was funny, a mixing tin is what this particular recipe called for. We put it into a shaker like most of the other recipes call for a shaker, although you can stir this one as well. And then there's a couple options. You can add a sugar rim, you can shake.
I can shake.
You can shake. So we can add a sugar rim. One of the things that they also said was you could delicately position and not do the whole rim and only do half a sugar rim. So it all depends on what your mood is. And then we are going to add an orange twist to it, which not all of the recipes call for that either.
That's a nice garnish.
So let's do a sugar rim. I'm gonna sugar rim all of mine just for
too.
convenience.
and I just like sugar.
Ooh, Risha did bring in the Cara oranges, which I'm dribbling everywhere here.
Ooh.
So there, 2nd week with a sugar rim. Isn't that funny?
Lovely. I love it.
And then carefully pour.
Okay, do you want to do it again?
You can do it.
I'm so scared.
Do yours first. See, it's not that bad.
Oh yeah, see, I can do it. You believed in me.
You're a little shorter than I am, so you have a different perspective from me on the
amounts?
on the amount that's in the glass, yeah. That's all right, yours is a little heavy on the pour. Then we're gonna add our orange twist, and I like to twist mine up just because it releases that aroma.
And that's actually a twist.
And it actually is a twist, and it smells really good, you guys. So I thought this was kind of fun too. They talked about the sugar room, and they said if you want to create an air of vintage elegance.
I love
So
that
we've created
phrasing.
an air of vintage elegance. I thought that was really fun. So anyway, that is the Sidecar.
Pretend
Cheers.
because it's a sugar, yeah.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah.
I thought it would have more orange.
Mhm.
That lemon really, that's really good.
I think I'd cut back like a half an ounce on the lemon.
So go just to a 1/4 ounce each.
Yeah.
I'd be curious what it would be like without any lemon, just the Cointreau or the Grand Marnier and the
Sure.
Cavassier,
I
and
think
then
that would be good.
the twist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting because there were a number of different recipes out there.
Right.
Some of them called even for equal parts of everything, which I think would have been overpowering on the lemon.
Oh yes.
Um,
But you mentioned an army captain
yes.
who drove up on his motorcycle
Mm-hmm.
with a sidecar. We have in our World War I display a uniform from a motor dispatch serviceman he grew up in Alden. His name was Raymond Christensen. I always have to make sure I say that right. Raymond Christensen, and he was a part of that messengers in the war kind of idea, where he had a motorcycle in Paris and England on the war front, and so he would send messages behind enemy lines, and that was a really difficult job to have in the army.
So it's interesting because I knew about the messengers
Yes.
and the use of the sidecar. I was surprised to find that it was also the motorcycle and sidecar were used as an ambulance, and they as machine gun carriers.
Yes, I had that written down. But you were telling me about the ambulance, how it was like
It was like a cot. So I don't know if they fashioned the cot on top of the sidecar, but yeah, they showed a guy out on a stretcher.
Oh my gosh.
Transporting him with the
I
motorcycle.
can't even imagine.
Very interesting. There were some numbers, and I should have printed these out because the U.S. spent, I think they said during World War I, for motorcycles and sidecars and bicycles.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the price was something like $50 million.
Oh, well, sure. It's a lot, because during World War I, horses were kind of going out of commission as use. They were they were slow, they were unreliable, and so that's why the dispatch motorcycle servicemen became a very big thing in World War I. And they actually were, what did I have written? They were going through such dangerous terrain, they were paid higher than infantrymen.
Oh, interesting.
They were also immediately promoted to corporal because as messengers, they were required to address higher ranking officers. So they had to have a higher rank themselves to get through. And this kind of created a little tension with some other officers.
Oh, that would make sense.
Because they felt that the MDS, Motor Dispatch Service, corporal rank was acquired unfairly. Because it was given for a practical reason and not based on merit. Though many with the view saw these riders as like glorified messenger boys. A lot of people saw them that way. A lot of them were in constant danger as they delivered these top secret messages. They were almost like spies, not quite to that level of danger, I would say, but they would go behind enemy lines and often traveled off-road. They dealt with sleep deprivation a lot of the time, and they did have to dodge enemy fire too.
I'm sure.
You know? So the whole corporal rank was, while it was a practical reason, they also had a lot of extra danger that they went through too.
Sure.
Yeah. And so we have Raymond Christensen. He is on display in our World War I exhibit right now.
A fun uniform too, because it's a different looking uniform, and it's got the fun little
hat
with the little ear flaps with it. So it's a different uniform. You don't. It's not one you're going to see at every museum. I don't think. I think it's a really neat piece to our collection.
I almost wish we had his motorcycle, but
wouldn't that be fun?
It'd be so great.
It's as I was looking at some of this, I was curious as to when sidecars were invented.
Oh, sure.
And they were invented in France in 1893, originally designed for a newspaper competition to find the best method of carrying a passenger on a bicycle.
That's sweet.
Isn't that kind of a fun? Yeah. And in 1903, a patent for the motorcycle sidecar was submitted.
Okay.
And the history said quickly exploded. People no, the motorcycle, the fad quickly exploded because it was cheaper than a car and more useful than a single motorcycle.
Fair.
Yeah, so it became popular. So it went in 1903 with the patent to 1914 being used in World War I. Yeah, which made me curious too, because then I'm like, well, Harley Davidson and Indian, both U.S. motorcycles, and yes, they were both used during World War I. Harley Davidson, following the successful use of Harley Davidson motorcycles by the U.S. Army to hunt down Pancho Villa and his troops during the Mexican Revolution, the government ordered another 20,000 to keep troops company in Europe.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I thought.
I do know that the most popular model was the Trusty Triumphs.
Oh.
Is what it was called. That was the most popular model that was used.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Indian motorcycles, which are also available still today.
Oh.
They're beautiful bikes. They took a hit. Harley Davidson kept tailoring or making sure they had enough of the bikes for the general population, where Indian put almost all their production to the war.
Oh, sure.
And they say that they are still currently today recovering from that. So they probably lost some business because of their
Sure.
support of the U.S.
Yeah.
troops.
Wow.
I thought that's a very interesting, interesting tidbit,
Just-
fact.
Yeah, something
Get a little
happenstance.
brain, my
Yeah.
brain stopped there.
I have,
They did 50,000 Indians
wow.
and only 20 Harleys.
Oh, well, see, I have a picture of a Harley Davidson.
Oh,
I
that's
don't know if you can
fantastic.
see it very well. That is in Albert Lee. It even has Albert Lee on the little tire cover here
Yeah.
because it was a Harley Davidson sidecar. This is from 1927. So it's just kind of fun to imagine somebody just
Yeah,
on a sidecar.
and women liked them.
Well, sure.
I mean, being yes, you would see women often in the sidecars.
Is that kind of like side saddle?
No, sides have no. But think about that. Back in the early 1900s, a woman, the dresses they
Oh,
wore and
have
getting
that.
into
Yes.
that would take
Ooh,
a
that'd be very nice. Yes.
take some work.
I have another picture here. This one
That one's fun.
is from from 1910s. It's a really, really long photograph. These are all motorcyclists on the fairgrounds here in Albert Lee from 1910s.
So I have a question now.
Yes.
Was the fairgrounds located here at our museum? Like it?
I think so.
Were they? Okay, I'm
I
not
believe
sure.
So. I know because we have our Lived All In cabin in the village.
Mhm.
That was on the fairgrounds, and it was moved onto our area.
Technically, we're on the fairgrounds.
Right. But it was on the other, like further into actually
mhm.
the fairgrounds, and it was moved over to where it
Sure.
is now. And I don't think it was a very long trip.
Okay.
So I think that's been pretty consistent.
So
with
it
the
must be. Yeah.
fairgrounds.
I
don't know for sure.
I know at some point I think the fair was in another location and moved here, but I don't know what year that was. It might have been in the 1800s. Because I believe the first fair was. Oh, we just did
Gosh,
this
we
on
did,
our
we did.
timeline,
I
and
thought it was in the early 1900s.
maybe
though.
it was.
Mm.
We've looked at this timeline
Yes.
until we're like cross-eyed,
Yeah.
so you think it would be ingrained, but
That'd be really cool to know though, when it moved.
yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite movie where it features the sidecar?
The drink or an actual sidecar?
The actual sidecar.
Oh gosh, I have to think about it. Because I have one in my mind, but I don't know what movie it is. Do you have one?
I do actually.
Can you tell me? I'll think about one while
And maybe
you're-
it's the same one.
Okay.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade,
Oh.
with Harrison Ford is driving the motorcycle, and Sean Connery, who plays his dad,
Yep.
is in the sidecar, and he's got his umbrella and he's got his little briefcase, and they're being chased by the Nazis.
Umbrella. Yes.
That's probably my favorite. I do have to say I had forgotten this, and this predates you. Adam West was the original Batman on TV. And he had a couple of sidecars, which I'd totally forgotten about.
You do.
But his, of course, were those sporty, fun,
Uh-huh.
you know, I guess probably back in the original Batman, they were futuristic almost.
Yeah. I think the one I'm thinking of is in the Aristocats. You're laughing at me because it's Disney.
Yeah, I am laughing at her because it's Disney. But there is a sidecar, I believe, in the
gosh.
Aristocats.
It's like, I'm thinking of like the putt-putt that comes out of the motorcycle as he's driving, the little smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because he had to get the kittens in there. Or the dogs. It was one of the two, maybe both.
There's dogs in Aristocats?
Yeah, they're the two, like the dog ends up in his like shoes on a haystack.
It's been a long time since I watched a Disney film.
See, I used to watch it because my middle name is Marie, and the girl cat's name is Marie.
You are also a good 30-some years younger than I am, so I'm going to guess it's fresher for you.
Although it came out in the 70s.
Are you talking the movie or the cartoon?
Both.
The cartoon must have come out before the 70s. Really? Huh. Well, I guess that makes sense. I'm not that old. I would have been a kid in the 70s. Date myself here.
Oh my.
What else have you got?
I think that's it. It was me. Oh, I guess Raymond Christensen. He ended up being the start of the Avalon Cafe. I don't know if that's still around or not. I don't think it is.
I think so.
And then he also worked on the Albert Lee Tribune.
Oh, fun. And so maybe at some point, so we are in the process now of finishing up hotels in Freeborn County, and then moving to Judge Meehan's office, and then our next big piece will be business.
Businesses.
Yes, and one section of that will be restaurants and eateries.
So we'll
So
probably find out.
perhaps we will have a little something on the Avalon in that.
That would be really
Yeah.
neat. Yeah.
Maybe they served a sidecar.
Maybe.
Cheers, everyone. We hope you try a sidecar and enjoy it.
Mhm.
Cheers to you. Yeah.
Yay!